been a few weeks since our last update, and I apologize. That's due to the hectic schedule we've been running within the local. But I did want to give an update on negotiations, and they still have not begun. We have not entered into negotiations with American. And if you watch the Chicago video of the town hall, you'll notice that American says they don't anticipate being ready to begin that process till late September. As soon as the company's ready to start the process of negotiations, we'll begin that process as far as with the association. Um, when members ask why don't we begin the negotiations, the simple fact of the matter is the company is not ready to do that at this time, although they've said multiple times that they're ready to start. They've not proffered to open up the negotiations. A little history for those who recall and have been around a while is in the early 90s, the company offered to open negotiations, open up the contract with an extension. That extension we voted on and it passed. And that was around 1993. Then in just before 1995, we engaged in Section 6 bargaining, which this is not, because the contract was amendable at that time, and we ratified an agreement. That agreement was from 1995 to 2001. Near the midterm of that contract, the union approached the company about opening the agreement because the company was making record profits at that time. And the answer we got back as a union was the company wasn't interested in opening the agreement, and their position was you have an agreement through 2001. So early 2000, we began the Section 6 process again, which is your standard bargaining when the agreement becomes amendable. Ultimately, we negotiated another agreement for 2001 that was ratified. 2003, if you recall, the company approached the union about concessions in opening the contract. And while the union didn't want to necessarily open the contract, it was under the threat of bankruptcy that it was done. And the union made concessions. The membership voted on it. And then we had a contract from 2003 to 2008, at which time it became amendable. Again, we did Section 6 negotiations and were unable to reach a ratified agreement, and we wound up in bankruptcy. So historically, the company has come to the union outside of the amendable date whenever the contract, they'd like to open the contract. And again, when the union asked that question, we were rejected. Now, the company's made the statements that they're willing to open the contract. It's just a question of when those negotiations begin, and all of us want them to begin sooner than later. But again, we're working off of the company, and when they're ready to make their proposal, provide it to us as the association negotiating committee, we will then take that proposal, review it, and then respond in kind to the company.